Well, good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson here with you on the Weather Desk on the 13 News Now streaming app. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't joined us on the Weather Desk before, the Weather Desk is a half-hour show all about weather, the biggest weather headlines from around our local region here in Virginia and North Carolina to countrywide weather headlines. Even sometimes we take it around the world for the Weather Desk. It happens every day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9 a.m. here right after our daybreak streaming show on the 13 News Now app. Now, we don't have to go across the world to get these weather headlines today. A lot happening in the U.S. First, Hampton Roads got another round of severe weather last night after the severe weather we had on Friday. Sunday was actually a little stronger than Friday was, as we had the high dew point temperatures that led to some really high rates of some rainfall, also producing some really heavy downpours that also produced some microbursts, which produce gusty winds. So severe weather aftermath is something we'll be talking about today. We had some damage up on the peninsulas from down trees to down power lines, also seeing some large hail in that area as well. There is a possibility for more severe weather across the country for today, and I'll show you a look at that in just a moment. Now, I am also watching for the drought monitor. So a tale of two stories where one, we're looking at the aftermath of the storms, but two, the rainfall will help us just a bit as the entire country, well, not the entire country, most of the country is underneath some of those drought conditions. And here in Hampton Roads, I'll give you a look at the updated drought monitor that does have me a bit concerned here. Also seeing some areas in portions of central Virginia having to conserve water now that the drought is so bad there as you get through the Commonwealth. On top of that, I will be talking about the work week outlook, where I'm watching for what will be a very comfortable start to the work week before the high heat, high humidity, and the chance for storms returns to Hampton Roads. Now, strong storms knocked over trees and power lines in several cities in Hampton Roads last night, leaving thousands without power. This is a look at one of those downed trees just off of North Armistead Avenue in Hampton. People who live in that neighborhood say they watched the storm intensify in a matter of minutes before that tree came crashing down on the road.
We were coming back from a family event, and we noticed that one of our neighbors' car wasn't parked where it normally is. So we were like, okay, something feels weird. And then as we were pulling up, we saw the tree, but luckily Corey kind of let us know that it wasn't just a tree, it was also power lines down. So there's like lines in the middle of the road that you can't really see. So we're able to kind of stop, kind of get caught up, catch up on what we needed to do. And then we currently have lines down across our front yard. So just to be safe, we kind of been just, kind of being neighbors, catching up, talking, making sure everything is straight.
And I was on the live stream with them last night when that interview was happening in real time. And thankfully, the local neighbors said, according to their accounts, that no other neighbors were hurt as that tree fell down. Now, right now, because of the down power lines and the loss of power, Dominion Energy outage map shows around 2,500 customers across Hampton Roads are still without power this morning. Those storms came through right around 7 to 8 p.m. So we're going on hour 12 or 13 with no power in those areas. Most of those outages are in Newport News in Hampton, where you are seeing those orange and yellow colors on the map. Now, taking a look across the area from our storm reports, just a few lingering here. Those are reported later on in the day from the severe thunderstorm that moved across the bay into the eastern shore. And so this one from Cape Charles, this was from a mesonet site that rang in a marine thunderstorm wind up to 41 miles per hour. But from last night, and I'll show you what happened, look from Langley Air Force Base. This was one of the strongest winds we saw all night from their site at the Air Force Base, where they measured a thunderstorm wind gust up to 71 miles per hour. And local onlookers said that this was a microburst. So a huge downpour of rain led to some very gusty winds spreading out across Hampton. We also had downed trees in the area. But it's not just Hampton Roads where we're tracking severe weather. It's from coast to coast, from storms in the northeast delaying thousands of flights into flooding in Texas and dangerous surf on the West Coast. ABC's Hannah Battah shows us more.
Overnight, heavy rainfall triggered widespread flooding across central Texas. Numerous people had to be rescued from their cars. Elsewhere, powerful storms pummeled parts of the Midwest over the weekend. Parts of Kansas saw hail the size of golf balls. Winds up to 70 miles per hour lashing northeast Ohio, strong enough to topple this historic Ferris wheel, which stood for 70 years.
I mean, we're used to the high winds, obviously, but never to this extreme.
The storm's also wreaking havoc on air travel. More than 10,000 flights delayed and over 1,000 canceled Sunday. Meanwhile, in the west, forecasters are warning of, quote, lethal temperatures that could reach as high as 110 degrees in parts of Northern California. The extreme heat stretching to Oregon and Washington. The National Weather Service says temperatures will stay elevated overnight, offering little relief. And the heat isn't the only concern. Officials are also warning beachgoers along the California coast about dangerous ocean conditions, including rip currents and so-called sneaker waves, powerful waves that can suddenly surge farther up the beach than expected. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Now here's a look at the severe weather potential across the country today, and much lower than yesterday. Yesterday, it was a majority of the East Coast down through the mid-Atlantic, even into the deep South, where we had a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Today, across the area that's going to be, and for at least for the country, is going to be in the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, into New Mexico, and clipping portions of Colorado and into Kansas. Also a small area of severe weather potential there into the northern plains, a level 1 out of 5 risk in both areas. So much lower and much lower coverage than when we had yesterday. Now, extreme heat and rough surf isn't the only thing that's impacting the West Coast and what they're dealing with right now. Coastal California is also bracing for flooding that was caused by a king tide. Michelle Guile has a look at the preparations in Newport Beach.
Prepping for the king tide in preparation, we have placed over 400 sandbags around this property to mitigate the runoff.
King tides are coming. Newport Beach city crews are working to minimize flooding in neighborhoods and on streets with several days of higher than normal tides in the forecast.
The harbor will rise tonight. The water will rise tonight with tonight's tide. The next 3 days, the tide's going to be even higher. So we're going to expect the water to be about a foot lower than the top of this seawall. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, it'll be about 6 inches lower. But as you can see, this is much higher than the street over here.
There's extra staff on board through the weekend to keep 30 pumps running across the city. They'll be watching the most vulnerable spots close to Newport Bay, including Newport Island on the Balboa Peninsula, Lido Village and Balboa Island. The long line of sandbags was placed near a spot near Newport Boulevard where pooling water creates a hazard.
This is one of our vital locations. It's a main thoroughfare for our city, and we're going to have staff here all throughout the weekend monitoring.
The combination of big surf and king tides could create problems. Lifeguards say larger waves are making a return Saturday and will stick around for 2 weeks. It's one reason the sand berm has been reinforced at the Balboa Pier. The pounding swell has breached the berm. Newport's utilities director says the big waves are having an impact on how high the tide will actually be when it comes in.
It'll absolutely be almost a foot higher than what is predicted. So we have those measurements because we have our tide markers throughout the city. So that's what we're planning for. We see what the book says, but we're planning for a foot above that.
After the break, Colorado cities are sounding the alarm as reservoir levels keep dropping amid drought conditions, how they're working to preserve the water. Welcome back. Across the country, we are dealing with that drought anywhere from the abnormally dry conditions in the yellow to extreme and exceptional drought. And one city in Colorado is sounding the alarm now that its reservoir levels are only a little more than halfway full. While Aurora residents are complying with water restrictions, officials are concerned what could happen if water levels drop even more. Michael Abeda has more.
We have had a lot of people comply, and that's been awesome.
It's not all bad news when it comes to conserving water in Aurora during this drought so far. Aurora Water says most people have been doing their part, and this spring storms have helped in one aspect.
It's slowed up demand. So people aren't necessarily needing to water, and they are turning off their sprinklers when they're getting rain, which has been great.
But it's not all good news either. The storms didn't increase reservoir levels.
So we will continue to see those storage levels decrease because really runoff is, for all intents and purposes, over.
Which is tough because those levels are historically low this year at only 55% full.
If you look at over a 10-year average, we're normally sitting at about 74% of full at this time of year. So we're obviously down from where we were.
So Aurora Water says the fight to save what water we have continues. They need residents to continue to follow stage 1 watering restrictions.
Because what could push us into a stage 2 restriction, which would take you down to 1 day a week of watering, and even in more enforcement, is if people are not following the current stage 1 water restrictions.
That means watering only 2 days a week and not during the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Aurora Water says they know it's not easy, but it's also necessary.
Seeing your lawns turn yellow is very hard, and it's going to be happening more as we get into the heat of summer.
Now, staying in Colorado, a pilot program is testing whether entire communities can sustain themselves on harvested rainwater. Check this out. Colorado State University is using the roof of one of its buildings to capture rainwater and water native plants. Professors are hoping to learn how much water can be saved this way and how to navigate challenges like contamination and downstream water rights.
So this is our roof runoff collection tank. Water from those roof drains drains down into those black pipes, comes into this tank, then gravity flows over to the next tank and is then from there pumped outdoors. This provides another source of water other than our potable drinking water, and allows us to make use of local water sources as our supplies become more and more diminished.
The goal is to one day store upwards of 400 acre-feet of water when it rains. Now, of course, Colorado is not the only area we're watching for this drought. You can see throughout portions of the desert Southwest into the western U.S. and all the way back into the eastern U.S., we do have those drought conditions. Taking it here to Hampton Roads, look at this. Our extreme drought has expanded to include all the northern neck, half of the middle peninsula, more than half of the eastern shore, and now even spills over into the western and central south side, and places outside of that extreme drought are underneath a moderate to severe drought. So rain is something that we really need, and we picked up last night 1 to 2 inches of rainfall for places around the south side and especially up into the peninsulas where those heavier downpours came through. Now rain is on the way here later on this week, but we do have to wait until about Friday for those heavier downpours to come through. Unfortunately, that may be paired with severe weather potential as well on Juneteenth. Now, coming up next, Mount Kilauea erupts again. What to know about this latest episode. Plus, how another volcano led to a year without summer in the Northeast more than 2 centuries ago. Welcome back. You're taking a live look now over Mount Kilauea in Hawaii. It's only about 3 a.m. there, so it's still dark. But look, you can see the smoke right now starting to billow, even some flames. If you look to the left side of your screen, those are active flames coming from the volcano on the southern rim of that mountain and volcano. Kilauea is one of the most active volcanoes in the world, and over the weekend it erupted once again, sending lava fountains into the air for nearly 8 hours. The U.S. Geological Survey has since dropped the volcano alert level from a watch to an advisory. This latest episode marks the 49th time Kilauea has erupted since December 2024, and that's around the time where we started our live stream here with the weather desk, and it has been erupting ever since around the Christmas time, again back in 2024. Now, an eruption in Indonesia is to blame for wild weather in the United States more than 2 centuries ago. Meteorologist Evan Stewart looks back at a year without summer and how it helped to reshape a growing nation.
In the spring of 1816, farmers across New England were preparing for another growing season. Fields were planted, some crops began to emerge, and few suspected anything was wrong. But summer never came. You see, the year before, the massive volcanic eruption of Mount Tambora in present-day Indonesia had blasted ash high into the atmosphere and had blocked the sunlight around the globe. By June, snow was falling across parts of New England. Frost damaged crops throughout the summer, and there were some reports that even described ice forming around the 4th of July. As that cold spread south, newspapers reported frost here in Virginia, while accounts from eastern North Carolina described cold rain, failed crops, and widespread food shortages. For farming families, the consequences were devastating. Corn failed to mature, harvest shrank, and food prices climbed. Many decided to leave. Thousands packed their belongings and moved west in search of better farmland, helping fuel settlements in places like Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. The year without a summer, as we now call it, lasted only about a season, but its impact lasted much longer. It was a volcanic eruption nearly 10,000 miles away that helped shape where Americans lived. And it became another example of how weather changed America.
Just such interesting facts coming there from Evan. Thank you so much. Now, after the break, we are going to talk more about what to expect here in Hampton Roads for the work week outlook. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Hampton Roads is catching a brief relief from the high heat and those storms. But here's a look at your work week outlook, where we're going to see that high heat, high humidity, and the storms returning once again. Cooler and less humid today, and we'll see increasing sunshine as the cold front rolls through on your Monday after what was a very active Sunday night for us. We had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. We were underneath the severe thunderstorm watch till about 11 p.m., even though that got lifted around 10 o'clock. But after a very loud night, it's just going to be quiet today as the sunshine returns. Now, rain is possible again tomorrow as a weak disturbance moves through, bringing in some rain chances, and also as the humidity rises just slightly. The better chance for rain for tomorrow will be the North Carolina side of things compared to a much quieter day on the Virginia side of things. High heat and high humidity return to the forecast soon, heading into our holiday weekend. So Juneteenth will be a day where I'm watching for yet another round of potential severe weather here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. You can kind of see our tower cam shaking just a little bit. We do have some breezy conditions. From the Thompson Creek Window Company sky view, we are seeing a lot of cloud cover here looking into Norfolk. Looks like we're looking into the Ghent side of things. Temperatures right now are in the mid 70s. We have this north-northwest winds that's been looking for these all morning. This changeover will give us that cooler, drier air for the rest of the day. Right now, winds sustain 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusts up to 20. Dew point temperatures have also dropped into the mid 60s, so it feels much drier outside, not as sticky and humid as it did yesterday. You can see that we have thick cloud cover across the south side of North Carolina, but also clearer skies as you head closer to the peninsulas, as that front sits right over the peninsulas and just south of the Chesapeake Bay, now slicing through the south side in northeastern North Carolina. Look behind this front, how dry and clear it is through central Virginia and western North Carolina. That's what we can expect for later on today. So as we get throughout the day today, temperatures will slowly climb back near 80 degrees by noon, with highs today in the upper 70s to the mid 80s, with sunny skies during the afternoon, and those winds will also start to really diminish once we get into the middle to late afternoon. So today is my pick of the week. Monday is going to be beautiful. We're talking comfortable temperatures, just a degree or two below normal. Also seeing partly cloudy conditions with increasing sunshine, lower humidity, and again, that risk for any rain holds off until tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, we'll have more humid weather by Tuesday, climbing back into that extra humid or excessive range for dew point temperatures Thursday and Friday, ahead of our next cold front, before that cold front brings another round of cooler, drier air for Saturday and Sunday. So tomorrow, expect temperatures back into the upper 60s during the morning. By the afternoon, we struggle to make it near 80 degrees. We'll have increasing cloud cover, and again, that chance for some scattered showers, especially for North Carolina later on in the day between about 6 and 8 p.m. Can't rule out a chance for an isolated thunderstorm, though there is no severe weather outlook for us for tomorrow. So just be prepared for any lightning or hearing any thunder as you get into your Tuesday. Now, looking ahead to rain chances across the rest of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday watching for isolated scattered showers, and then that starts to drop off just a little bit heading into Juneteenth weekend. I do think on Friday we have a higher chance than this is showing. I will expect to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms as that cold front approaches, but look at how hot these temperatures get. We're going to stay in the 80s today and tomorrow. By Wednesday, back into the low 90s. Highs will be near 100 degrees on your Thursday, so expect high heat and high humidity to make it feel more like the triple digits. Probably going to be issued underneath a heat advisory on Thursday. Also, record challenging high temperatures. A record high for June 18th here in Norfolk is 99 degrees. That was set back in 1944. Juneteenth, scattered showers and thunderstorms are possible, highs in the 90s, and will stay drier for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, with highs in the mid 80s to the low 90s. Remember, you can always get the latest news, traffic, and weather on the go with the 13 News Now app. Scan the QR code on your screen to download the app for free on the Apple Store or Google Play. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, live with you on the weather desk here on our 13 News Now streaming app. You can stream us at any time for free, and I'll be back later on, probably later this month, to help fill in for Craig. But Craig comes back tomorrow, and he'll be anchoring the weather desk tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Have a great Monday. Enjoy this fabulous day and get prepared for the high heat later on this week.